Most people aren't failing because they're lazy. They're failing because nobody ever handed them the real rulebook, not the one about money or how to learn or how to actually make knowledge stick for life. Today, we fix all of that. You'll get the lessons school skipped, the study hacks that work, and the mental frameworks top performers quietly use to dominate while everyone else is still cramming. Lesson 1, invest early, even small amounts. My friend, if you have spare money, start investing now. When I made my first $2,000 freelancing, I thought I was rich. You know what I did? Bought a laptop I didn't need and blew the rest away. That money could have been working for me this whole time. Here's the truth nobody tells you. You don't need thousands to start. You just need to start. Time is your biggest asset when you're young, and compound interest is basically free money for showing up consistently. What changed everything? I opened a Roth IRA at 23 and automated $200 monthly into index funds. Nothing fancy, just consistent deposits I barely notice. 2 years later, I've got over $5,000, and that's before decades of future growth. The gap between starting at 20 versus 30 is absolutely massive. That $50 weekly you spend on takeout, it could mean retiring years earlier. Your choice. Lesson 2, start building income streams early. My friend, here's what nobody tells you about money. Relying on one income stream is playing Russian roulette with your financial security. One client cancels, one algorithm changes, one market shifts, and you're done. The goal isn't getting rich from multiple sources, it's building stability and skills that compound over time. Start a side project, create something once and sell it repeatedly, build an audience. Each income stream teaches you invaluable lessons about creating value, marketing, and serving people, skills most people pay consultants thousands to learn. Don't obsess over the money initially. That $100 a month side project, it's not about the $100, it's about the experience, the proof of concept, the skills you're developing, while everyone else is just consuming content. Lesson 3, identify what game you're actually playing. Most people spend years optimizing for the wrong game. They chase external metrics, grades, titles, client count, without questioning if these align with what they actually want. The critical question isn't, am I winning, but what game am I playing, and did I consciously choose it? Success means defining your own scoreboard first. Is your goal maximum income, flexibility, impact, or something else? Once you're clear, every decision becomes easier. You'll know which opportunities to accept and which to decline. Don't let sunk costs trap you. Changing direction when you've chosen the wrong path requires more courage than stubbornly persisting, but it's important. Lesson 4, question your assumptions about difficulty. Most limits in business are self-imposed. We tell ourselves we need years of experience, a large portfolio, or strong connections before starting. In reality, those are mental barriers, not real ones. The truth is, people overcomplicate simple steps and delay action with unnecessary prerequisites. The useful question is, how hard should this really be? In most cases, the obstacles exist only in your head. Mindset defines difficulty. If you expect everything to be brutal, it will be. If you approach challenges with curiosity, problems become solvable. Perfect conditions never arrive. Progress comes from execution, not endless preparation. Send the email, make the call, publish the post. Start messy, refine later. Action creates clarity. Lesson 5. Seek forgiveness, not permission. If you want to start something, act without waiting for permission. Seeking constant approval drains time and energy. Asking if your rates are fair, if your portfolio is ready, or if you're allowed to go after bigger opportunities adds no real value. The truth is, no one is as invested in your decisions as you are. Most people are too occupied with their own lives to monitor what you're doing. At worst, someone ignores your work or rejects your pitch. That outcome changes nothing. What moves you forward is execution. The world rewards action more than hesitation. Failed launches, unanswered emails, or ignored content don't define you. Each attempt provides lessons you can't gain from overthinking. Real growth comes from shipping work, even when it's imperfect. Action compounds, hesitation stalls. Stop waiting for readiness. Begin now and improve through doing. Most people hustle for connections and get nothing. In a moment, I'll show you the counterintuitive secret to building a network that actually works. But first, you need to understand the mindset that makes people actually want to help you. Lesson 6. Stop worrying about what others think. I used to agonize over every piece of content I published. What if people think this is stupid? What if someone criticizes my work? What if I look like I don't know what I'm talking about? These fears kept me from putting anything out there for months. Then I realize fear of judgment stops me from creating something. We worry others will think our work is bad, criticize us, or see us as unqualified. This anxiety delays progress and silences ideas that should be shared. The reality is different. Most people aren't paying as much attention as you imagine. When you publish something, it rarely gets the level of scrutiny you fear. People are too busy with their own insecurities, problems, and responsibilities to dwell on your mistakes. That post you regret, it's forgotten by others almost immediately. Recognizing this truth is liberating. You're not the main character in anyone else's story. You are on your own. Once you stop overestimating how much people care, you free yourself to create consistently. Progress comes from producing, not hiding. Anxiety about judgment fades when you understand others are just as focused on themselves as you are. Lesson 7. Become a documentarian of your learning. One habit transformed the way I learn, writing down my thoughts immediately after reading a book or taking a course. Not summaries, but personal reactions. What stood out, what I agreed or disagreed with, and how I could apply it. Early on, I assumed I'd remember everything because insights felt unforgettable. 6 months later, most of it was gone. Now I spend 20 minutes capturing key takeaways in Notion, organized by category. This makes knowledge searchable and useful when challenges arise. The brain doesn't store information perfectly, it leaks. Writing forces deeper processing and turns fleeting ideas into practical tools. Learning without reflection fades quickly. Learning with notes compounds into lasting, actionable knowledge. Lesson 8. Become the connector. Let me tell you a story, my friend. When I moved to a new city at 23 to focus on my business, I didn't know anyone. I was terrified I'd become isolated, working alone in my apartment with no friends or professional network. That's when I decided to become the person who brings people together. Strong networks form when someone takes the initiative. Most people want connection, but hesitate to organize it. By starting small, creating groups, hosting meetups, or making introductions, you become the person who opens doors. Every opportunity, client, and collaboration often traces back to simple acts of initiation. Leadership doesn't require authority. It begins with saying, "Let's do this," when others remain passive. The one who brings people together becomes the natural hub others look to for guidance. If you want lasting relationships and opportunities, don't wait. Create the spaces where they can grow. Initiative is the seed of influence. Real talk. What's the one thing you wish someone had told you earlier? Maybe you stayed in the wrong job too long. Maybe you didn't start your side hustle when you had the chance. Maybe you learned something the hard way that nobody here has mentioned yet. Drop it in the comments below, because I guarantee your story will help someone avoid making that same mistake. Let's learn from each other. Lesson 9. Increase your surface area for luck. When you're debating between staying home and going to that event you're not excited about, go to the event. Individual events might not matter much in isolation, but the more you expose yourself to different people and situations, the more you increase what I call your surface area for luck. Opportunities often appear in places you almost skip. A single event, conversation, or chance interaction can open doors you never expected. The principle is simple. Increase your surface area for luck. The more environments you enter, the more people you meet. The more ideas you encounter, the higher the probability of opportunities aligning with your preparation. Luck is not random, it's exposure multiplied by readiness. You won't have the opportunity to sit at home. That doesn't mean saying yes to everything, which leads to burnout. It means selectively saying yes to situations with potential to connect you with people, insights, or collaborations that matter. Even when you're tired or unmotivated, showing up increases your odds. The consistent habit of engaging with new environments compounds into long-term gains. Preparation positions you for growth, but exposure places you where growth can actually happen. Comfort protects you from failure, but also from discovery. Your network and luck expand only through deliberate proximity to what you don't yet know. Lesson 10. Just don't be mean to people. My friend, kindness is a strategic advantage. Don't be mean to people, ever. That person who annoyed you in a Facebook group, they might become your client 2 years from now. That competitor you're tempted to trash talk, you might want to collaborate with them someday. The world is smaller than you think, especially in any given industry. I've seen people damage opportunities by making enemies over trivial disagreements or trash-talking competitors. Every time, it backfired. In contrast, those who remain respectful and kind attract trust, collaboration, and long-term opportunities. Kindness costs nothing but compounds into credibility and influence. A positive reputation often opens more doors than marketing tactics ever could. Protect it by always choosing respect. Lesson 11. The power of genuine relationship building. Here's something nobody tells you about business. The relationships you build matter more than your skills. Technical ability gets you noticed, but trust and rapport keep opportunities coming. Clients prefer working with people they like, respect, and feel supported by. Genuine care builds this foundation. Remember personal details, celebrate wins, and check in beyond transactions. These small actions strengthen bonds and turn short-term projects into long-term partnerships. Avoid treating networking as a numbers game. Instead, invest in real connections with people you respect. Offer help without keeping score. The goodwill you create compounds into referrals, loyalty, and opportunities. Business thrives on relationships, not transactions. Lesson 12. Develop skills that compound over time. I've learned this the hard way. Technical tools change fast, but foundational skills compound for life. Software knowledge like Photoshop or Illustrator becomes outdated, yet core abilities such as communication, critical thinking, and adaptability never lose value. Clear writing and persuasive communication generate more opportunities than technical skill alone. Critical thinking allows you to analyze problems and design effective solutions in any field. Learning how to learn ensures you can quickly adapt to new platforms and technologies. Daily writing, for example, develops clarity of thought, structured reasoning, and influence through words. These skills don't expire. They strengthen every other ability you acquire and multiply your long-term opportunities. Invest in compound skills. They create lasting advantage. By the way, if you're finding this valuable and want to go even deeper, I write a weekly newsletter where I break down what's actually working in my business right now, mistakes I'm making in real time, and strategies I'm testing before I talk about them anywhere else. It's honest, unfiltered, and designed for people who are actually into building something. Check out the link in the description if it feels right. Lesson 13. Consistency beats intensity every time. My friend, burnout comes from working in unsustainable bursts. Long stretches of obsession followed by collapse create inconsistent results. The solution is small, consistent action. Just 90 minutes of focused work daily produces more progress than scattered marathons. This principle applies everywhere: learning skills, building an audience, or growing a business. The brain adapts through repetition, not occasional intensity. Daily practice creates lasting improvement and compounds results over time. Consistency isn't flashy or exciting, but it outperforms every other strategy. Discipline in small doses builds momentum, prevents burnout, and turns goals into steady progress. Consistency is the closest thing to a superpower. Lesson 14. Learn to say no to good things. Here's something nobody tells you when you're ambitious and starting out. The hardest decisions aren't between good and bad options. They're between good and great options. When I was 22, I said yes to everything, every client, every opportunity, every project that came my way. I was terrified of missing out on something that could be the big break. The result? I was overwhelmed, spread thin, and gave mediocre effort to everything because I didn't have the capacity to give great effort to anything. The most valuable business skill is learning to say no. Taking on every client or project leads to work that pays but drains energy and direction. A clear filter protects both progress and satisfaction. Does this align with my long-term goals? Will it energize me rather than exhaust me? Is this a client I'd want to work with again? If the answer isn't a strong yes to all three, the opportunity isn't worth it. Every yes commits your time, energy, and focus, which means saying no to something else. Selective eyes create space for the right opportunities. Protecting your capacity is as important as using it. What you decline defines your priorities as much as what you pursue. Lesson 15. Fix your posture. Your future self will thank you. I spent 3 years hunched over my laptop, working from coffee shops and my couch, thinking my body was invincible because I was young. At 25, I now deal with persistent neck pain and have spent over $1,000 on physical therapy, ergonomic equipment, and treatments I could have completely avoided. At 20, your body feels limitless, but every posture habit adds up. Hours spent slouched at a laptop create long-term damage that surfaces later with interest. Simple fixes make the difference. A proper desk setup, a supportive chair, and hourly breaks to stretch or move. These small choices compound into years of comfort, focus, and productivity. Good posture and movement aren't just about avoiding pain now, they're investments in your future. Preventing chronic issues is far easier than trying to repair them later. Respect your body today, and it will support your goals for decades. Lesson 16. Build a morning routine that actually works. Everyone talks about elaborate morning routines with meditation, journaling, exercise, and cold showers. That's great if it works for you, but for most people, it's not sustainable. What changed everything for me was building a simple 30-minute morning routine I could actually stick to. I wake up at 7, spend 5 minutes stretching, 10 minutes reading something educational, and 15 minutes planning my top 3 priorities for the day. That's it. Nothing fancy or Instagram-worthy. The key is consistency over complexity. A simple routine you do every single day beats an elaborate routine you do once a week and then abandon. Your morning sets the tone for your entire day. Start it intentionally instead of reactively grabbing your phone and scrolling through anxiety-inducing news and emails. Lesson 17, nothing good happens after 2 a.m. I love deep conversations with friends as much as anyone. But here's what I've learned through painful experience. The quality of everything drops dramatically after 2 a.m. The best conversations happen between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. After that, everyone's exhausted, thinking gets fuzzy, and you end up feeling terrible the entire next day. The real value comes before that window closes, between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Knowing when to stop is a discipline. Protecting sleep gives you energy, clarity, and creativity the following day. 4. Sleep is not a weakness, but a competitive advantage. The most effective people aren't those who stay up the latest. They're the ones who prioritize rest consistently. Guard your sleep schedule, and it will guard your mood, focus, and long-term performance. Stop blaming yourself for feeling behind. That constant pressure, it's not what you think, and most people spend hundreds of hours learning the wrong way because of it. Stick with me. I'm about to show you the counterintuitive method that actually works. Lesson 18. Falling behind is completely normal. In my first year of freelancing, I had this constant anxiety that I was falling behind. Behind on client work, behind on learning new skills, behind on building my audience, behind on literally everything. I'd look at other people's polished Instagram posts and think everyone had it figured out except me. Until it hits me, every freelancer or entrepreneur feels behind. Everyone has unfinished projects, missed goals, and tasks slipping through the cracks. It just doesn't show on social media. What helps is accepting that you can't do everything at once. Different seasons require different priorities. Sometimes it's client work, sometimes it's skill building, sometimes it's health and relationships. Progress isn't about doing everything simultaneously. It's about focusing on the right thing for the current season. You're not falling behind. You're simply on a different timeline than others. Stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Growth looks different for everyone. Lesson 19. Learn how to actually learn effectively. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Most people consume endless content but retain almost nothing. Books, courses, podcasts, 6 months later, it's forgotten. The fix is simple. Active recall and spaced repetition. Instead of rereading or highlighting, test yourself on what you've learned. Instead of cramming, review the material at spaced intervals. Research has proven these methods for decades, yet few apply them. The result is higher retention in less total study time. Stop chasing pretty notes or passive study habits that look productive but fail. Use methods that actually work. Your time is too valuable to waste on learning techniques that don't deliver lasting results. Lesson 20. Strategic learning beats exhaustive learning. When I started my business, I thought I needed to learn everything. Every design trend, every marketing strategy, every business framework. I took every free course, read every blog post, and watched every YouTube video. I was consuming information constantly, but making almost no progress. The game changer was picking one skill that had moved the needle most. For me, it was copywriting. 3 months of focused practice doubled my income, not because I mastered it, but because competence in a leverage skill elevated everything else. The key is asking, what single skill would make the biggest difference now? Then focus only on that until you're effective. You don't need every skill, just the right one at the right time. Lesson 21. Document everything through photos and notes. The truth is, I have only 15 photos from my entire first year in business. I was so busy grinding that I didn't document anything. Now those memories are blurry. I can't remember my first office setup, how I felt landing my first $1,000 client, or what problems seemed impossible back then. Document your journey, even in small ways. Take photos of your workspace, screenshots of progress, and pictures with people you meet, not for social media, but for yourself. These snapshots become proof of growth when it doesn't feel obvious at the moment. Looking back, you'll see how far you've come. Your 20s and every stage of life won't return. The challenges, small wins, and ordinary moments that seem insignificant now will become meaningful memories later. Capture them. Future, you will value the record, not just for nostalgia, but as a reminder that progress happens even when you can't see it daily. Lesson 22. Collaboration over competition. My friend, competition creates stress and isolation, while collaboration builds growth. Many freelancers start with a scarcity mindset, believing others in their niche are threats who take opportunities away. This perspective drains energy and limits progress. A better approach is collaboration. Refer clients when a project isn't the right fit. Share resources, insights, and strategies openly. Celebrate others' achievements instead of resenting them. The result is stronger relationships, more referrals, and faster learning than any course can offer. Shifting to an abundance mindset, believing success isn't limited, creates momentum. Opportunities multiply when peers see you as an ally rather than a rival. Success is not zero-sum. Another person's win doesn't equal your loss. In fact, their growth can open doors for you, build genuine connections within your field, contribute without expectation, and help both. Lesson 23. Focus on what you can control. This is probably the most important lesson on this entire list. In my first 2 years of business, I wasted so much mental energy worrying about things completely outside my control. Algorithms change, what competitors were doing, whether potential clients would respond to my pitches, the economy, market conditions. None of that worry improved outcomes. It only created stress and distraction. The Stoic concept of the dichotomy of control provides the solution. Separate what's in your control from what isn't. Control includes your effort, preparation, habits, mindset, work quality, and how you treat people. Outside your control are market conditions, algorithm changes, client decisions, and others' opinions. When anxiety builds, ask, can I control this? If yes, act. If not, release it. This simple filter protects focus, reduces wasted energy, and strengthens resilience. Mental clarity comes from refusing to carry weight that isn't yours. Directing effort to controllables is not only practical, it's one of the most effective ways to improve results and peace of mind. The biggest risk in your 20s isn't failing, it's drifting. Most people spend these years distracted, waiting for clarity and letting life happen to them. That's how you wake up a decade later with nothing to show for it. You cannot afford to coast. Every choice you make now is shaping who you'll become and what options you'll have. The truth is, momentum compounds faster than you think. Small disciplines practiced daily will separate you from 99% of people who are stuck in hesitation. Don't aim for perfection, aim for direction. Decide what matters to you, take responsibility for it, and move with purpose. The future doesn't reward intention, it rewards execution. Build with intention now, and you'll create freedom later. Waste these years, and you'll spend the rest of your life trying to catch up. The foundation you lay today becomes the ceiling of your tomorrow. Now here's where it gets practical, because knowing the right lessons is only half the equation. You still have to actually learn them, and the truth is, most people's approach to studying is quietly sabotaging everything they're trying to build. Working longer doesn't mean working smarter. So before you spend another hour grinding through material that won't stick, let's fix how you actually study. Hack number 1, kill your distractions first. My friend, killing your distractions first is the foundation of deep learning. Every time you check your phone mid-study, you're not pausing your focus, you're destroying it completely. Research shows it takes 23 minutes to get back into deep concentration after a distraction. Think about that. If you're glancing at notifications every 15 minutes, you never actually reach the flow state where real learning happens. I spent months wondering why I couldn't retain information until I realized my phone was sitting right there on my desk. Not actively using it, just having it visible. That's enough to fragment your attention because your brain knows it could check it. You're using mental energy resisting the urge instead of focusing on the material. Social media companies employ psychologists specifically to make their platforms addictive. You're fighting algorithms designed by some of the smartest engineers in the world, optimized to hijack your dopamine system. This isn't a willpower problem, it's a design problem. Let me tell you what actually works. Before any learning session, put your phone on airplane mode and leave it in another room, not face down on your desk, physically out of reach. Install website blockers like Freedom or Cold Turkey on your computer to shut down social media completely. Extreme situation, extreme solution. Tell yourself you'll check everything after 90 minutes. Not forever, just one focused block. Your brain can handle that. After a few sessions, something shifts. That deep focus state starts feeling good. You begin craving it instead of fighting it. But you have to protect it first by removing every possible interruption. Hack number 2, hydration is brain fuel. Your brain is 75% water. When you're dehydrated, even slightly, cognitive performance drops hard, processing speed slows down, memory suffers, concentration fades. Most people walk around chronically dehydrated without realizing it, then wonder why they can't think clearly. Before every learning session, drink a full glass of water. Keep a bottle at your desk and sip throughout. Sounds basic, but I've lost count of how many times I thought I hit a mental wall when really I just needed hydration. Your brain is a high-performance machine. You can't run it on empty. I learned this after spending an entire afternoon trying to understand a complex business model. Got nowhere. Next day, I did the same session, but kept water at my desk the whole time. Everything clicked. Same material, same brain, properly hydrated. The science backs this up. Even 2% dehydration can impair attention, memory, and motor skills. You wouldn't try to run a marathon without water. Don't try to learn without it either. Keep that water bottle visible. Make it automatic. Every time you sit down to study, take 3 big gulps before you even open your materials. This one simple habit might be the difference between a productive session and wasting 2 hours staring at pages without retaining anything. What I'm about to share with you will cut your study time in half, but only if you stop making the mistake that keeps most people grinding for hours with nothing to show for it. Stick with me, because what comes next changes everything. Hack number 3, focus on the 20%. Focusing on the 20% changed my entire approach to learning. 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. This is the Pareto principle, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. In business, 80% of revenue comes from 20% of clients. In learning, 80% of what you truly grasp comes from 20% of the material. Most people try to learn everything. They highlight entire textbooks, take notes on every chapter, try to absorb it all. Then they get overwhelmed, exhausted, and retain almost nothing. It's like drinking from a fire hose. You just end up soaked and tired. When I was teaching myself Facebook ads, I could have spent months learning every single feature. Instead, I focused on campaign structure, audience targeting, and creative testing, the core fundamentals that drive actual results. Everything else I learned only when I absolutely had to. Cut my learning time in half while doubling my effectiveness. Ask yourself what actually matters. If you're studying for an exam, what gets tested? If you're learning a skill for business, what's the 20% that delivers 80% of the capability? Look at what successful people in your field actually use daily. Cut the fluff ruthlessly. Your goal isn't to know everything, it's to know what counts. This one shift can literally have your learning time while doubling retention. My friend, I'm genuinely curious about something. What's your biggest challenge when trying to learn new things? Is it staying focused, remembering what you studied, or something else entirely? Drop your experience in the comments below, because honestly, hearing what you're dealing with might help someone else realize they're not alone in this. I read every comment, and your insight could be exactly what another person needs to hear. Hack number 4, morning hours hit different. Morning hours hit different. The science is clear. Your brain operates at peak performance in the first few hours after waking. Willpower is highest, focus is sharpest, memory encoding is at maximum capacity. Even 30 minutes in the morning outperforms 2 hours at night. I started waking up 90 minutes earlier just for learning, and the difference was massive. Information stuck better with less effort. I retained more in that focused morning block than I did in entire evenings of grinding. Test it yourself. 1 week, do your hardest learning first thing in the morning. Track what you actually remember. The difference will shock you. Maybe you're not a morning person because you've never experienced what your brain can do when it's fresh and fully charged. Hack number 5, explain it simply. Explaining it simply is how you test your understanding. Richard Feynman's technique. If you can't break down a concept in simple terms, you don't actually understand it. Pick a concept. Explain it out loud to yourself, like you're talking to someone with zero background. No jargon. When you hit a point where you can't explain it simply, you've found your gap. Go back, study that part, then explain again. I do this constantly when learning business concepts. Talk through it out loud like I'm recording a tutorial. Sounds weird, but it forces clear thinking and reveals exactly where understanding breaks down. Hack number 6, work in focused sprints. Working in focused sprints will change how you study. Your brain wasn't designed for marathon sessions. After about 25 to 30 minutes of intense focus, your brain starts to fatigue. Comprehension drops, mistakes increase, you start reading words without processing meaning. The Pomodoro technique is 25-minute focused bursts, then a 5-minute break. But the real power isn't just the timer, it's what this does for retention. Short blocks prevent cognitive fatigue, which is the silent killer of learning. 25-minute sprints keep you in the optimal zone where information actually sticks. Starting is way easier when you tell yourself, just 25 minutes, instead of, I have to study for 3 hours. Knowing a break is coming keeps you motivated and sharp through each session. During breaks, actually step away. Don't just switch to checking email, walk around, get water, look outside, give your brain a real reset so the next sprint is just as effective. I tracked my retention before and after using this method. 4 focused Pomodoros, 100 minutes of real work, got me further than 3+ hours of unfocused grinding. Quality compounds faster than quantity ever will. Let me tell you, once you experience the difference between 4 hours of distracted studying and 90 minutes of pure focus, you'll never go back. My friend, if you've been getting value from these videos and want to support what I'm building, I recently launched memberships on the channel. Members get priority replies to comments and can even suggest topics for future videos. It's a small way to make a big impact on this content. If that sounds like something you'd be into, just hit the join button below. No pressure at all, but I wanted to mention it for those who've asked how they can help. Alright, let's keep moving. Hack number 7, test yourself, don't just review. Testing yourself instead of just reviewing is what separates real learning from wasted time. This is the truth that most people ignore. Rereading your notes is one of the least effective study methods out there. It feels productive because you're doing something, but it creates an illusion of knowledge. Your eyes pass over familiar words. You think, yeah, I know this, but you haven't tested whether you can actually retrieve that information from memory. Recognition and recall are completely different processes. Recognizing something when you see it is easy. Recalling it from scratch is what matters. Active recall is simple. Instead of passively reviewing material, force yourself to retrieve it from memory. The single best tool for this is flashcards. Every time you struggle to remember an answer and then finally retrieve it, you're strengthening that neural pathway. The struggle itself creates learning. Use apps or go old school with index cards. Format doesn't matter as much as the practice. Create cards for key concepts, definitions, processes, anything you want to remember. Then test yourself daily. Not review, actually test. Cover the answer and force yourself to recall before flipping the card. This is the beautiful part. The harder it is to remember something, the stronger the learning effect when you finally recall it. That frustrating tip of my tongue feeling, followed by the breakthrough, that's your brain building stronger connections. I use this to learn an entirely new skill set when pivoting my business focus. Created about 200 flashcards on concepts I had to internalize. Tested myself every morning for 15 minutes. Within 2 months, I went from complete beginner to confidently applying these concepts in real projects. You're about to discover why everything you've learned so far will be forgotten in a week unless you apply one specific principle. And most people never figure this out until it's too late. Hack number 8, space out your learning. Let me tell you, spacing out your learning is the cheat code for permanent retention. Cramming is a disaster for long-term memory. You might remember something for tomorrow's test, but a week later it's gone. Your brain requires time and repeated exposure to move information from short-term to long-term memory. The principle is simple. Review information at increasing intervals. Learn something today, review it tomorrow, then review again in 3 days, then a week, then 2 weeks, then a month. Each time you successfully recall it after a longer interval, you're dramatically strengthening that memory. Eventually it becomes permanent. This is how I've built knowledge that actually sticks. Instead of cramming before I have to use something, I spread learning over weeks. It requires more planning, but the payoff is massive. Information becomes truly yours, available whenever you actually use it without constantly relearning. Apps like Anki automate this using algorithms based on how well you remember each card. Cards you struggle with appear more frequently. Cards you nail consistently show up less often. It's like having a personal tutor who knows exactly when to test you on each concept. I know it sounds slower than cramming everything at once, but this is what nobody tells you. Cramming is the slow method because you have to keep doing it over and over. Spaced repetition takes a bit longer up front, but saves you countless hours of relearning the same material repeatedly. Hack number 9, teach someone else. Teaching someone else reveals your gaps fast. Find a study partner or friend. Give them a 10-minute lesson on what you just learned. Here's what makes this different from explaining to yourself. Other people ask questions you didn't anticipate. They get confused at points you thought were clear. That feedback shows you exactly where your understanding is weak. The first time I tried this with a marketing concept, I thought I had it down. Then my friend asked, "But why does that work?" And I couldn't answer. That question sent me back to really understand the mechanism, not just the process. Hack number 10, build your learning system. Building your learning system is what makes everything stick. Here's the exact tactical framework. Sunday planning session. Open your calendar every Sunday. Block 3 to 5 specific 90-minute learning sessions for the week. Write exactly what you'll study in each block. Monday, 7 to 8:30 a.m., Financial Modeling, Chapter 3. Wednesday, 6 to 7:30 p.m., Python loops and functions. Be specific. Night before prep. The night before each session, spend 5 minutes setting up. Lay out your notebook and materials on your desk. Charge your phone in another room, not your bedroom, another room. Fill your water bottle and put it on your desk. Set out a pen. Cue everything so morning you just sits down and starts. Session structure protocol. Every session follows the same sequence. Step 1. Drink 3 big gulps of water. Step 2. Set phone to airplane mode if it's nearby, or confirm it's in another room. Step 3. Set timer for 25 minutes. Step 4. Study using active recall. Test yourself. Don't read. Step 5. 5-minute break. Actually stand up. Repeat 3 to 4 times. The tracking spreadsheet. Open a Google Sheet or Excel file. Create 4 columns. Date, topic studied, minutes spent, confidence, 1 to 10. After every session, log it. Takes 30 seconds. This is non-negotiable because data reveals patterns, feelings hide. Weekly review process. Every Sunday before planning next week, review your tracking sheet. Look for topics where confidence is below 7. Those get more time next week. Look for sessions where you couldn't focus. What was different? Adjust one variable. The reward protocol. Before each session starts, decide your specific reward. Write it on a sticky note. After this session, coffee from the good shop. Or, after this session, 20 minutes of gaming. Make it immediate. Within 10 minutes of finishing. This conditions your brain to anticipate positive feelings around learning. Start small protocol. Week 1. Only implement phone removal and hydration. That's it. Week 2. Add Pomodoro timers. Week 3. Add tracking spreadsheet. Week 4. Add rewards. Don't try building the entire system at once, or you'll quit by Thursday. The daily micro adjustment. After each session, ask yourself one question. What would make tomorrow's session 10% better? Maybe the chair is uncomfortable. Maybe the room is too warm. Maybe you're studying right after lunch when you're sleepy. Fix one small thing each day. This system isn't complicated, but it's specific. Every step has a concrete action. No vague intentions, just repeatable behaviors that compound over weeks into completely different results. Look at where you started this video versus where you are now. You came in probably using the same learning methods everyone uses. Passive reading, marathon cram sessions, constant distractions, no real system. Methods that create frustration and minimal results. Now you have a complete framework. Eliminate distractions to protect focus. Hydrate properly to fuel your brain. Apply the 80-20 rule to focus on what matters. Leverage morning hours when your brain peaks. Explain concepts simply to test understanding. Work in focused sprints instead of exhausting marathons. Test yourself with active recall. Space your learning for permanent retention. Teach others to reveal gaps. Build a system with concrete steps that force consistency. Imagine applying this over the next month, 6 months, year. How much faster could you acquire new skills? How much more confident would you feel tackling challenges? How much further could you take your career when learning becomes a competitive advantage instead of a struggle? I used to avoid learning new things because it felt like such a grind. I'd procrastinate, stress, then cram at the last minute and forget everything. I watched others pick up skills easily while I struggled, and honestly, it was frustrating as hell. But once I implemented these methods, not all at once but gradually building the system, everything changed. Learning became faster, easier, actually enjoyable. I started seeking out new skills instead of avoiding them. The compounding effect of continuous learning is insane. The person who can learn faster has an almost unfair advantage. You can have the same transformation. Everything I just shared works, not because I'm special or naturally gifted, but because these methods are based on how your brain actually operates. You're not fighting against your neurology, you're working with it. Don't just watch this and move on. Pick one technique, just one, and implement it tomorrow. Maybe it's putting your phone in another room during focus sessions. Maybe it's trying morning learning for a week. Maybe it's creating your first set of flashcards. Just one thing. Once that becomes habit, add another. Build the system gradually. Small changes compound into massive results over time. Now go apply these methods and make learning your unfair advantage instead of your struggle. But here's what most people still get wrong, even after cleaning up their study habits. They consume information once and expect it to last. It doesn't, and it never will, not without a system built around how memory actually works. That's when I ran into the culture of Japanese students who consistently outperform the rest of the world. And it has nothing to do with working harder. It has everything to do with timing. My friend, in Japan, students use a method called Kumon. Instead of cramming massive amounts of information at once, they break learning into small, daily pieces. Just 15 to 30 minutes. Doesn't feel like much, but over time, it compounds into something powerful. This ties directly into what James Clear writes about in Atomic Habits. A 1% improvement every day makes you 37 times better in a year. The math actually works out that way. But most people try to improve 100% in one day and burn out within a week. Japanese students also practice something called spaced repetition. Instead of studying something once and moving on, they review it at specific intervals, right before they're about to forget it. Maybe after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week, then a month. Each time they successfully recall it, the memory strengthens and lasts longer. This is the opposite of how we learned in school. We'd cram the night before an exam, pass the test, forget everything by next week. But if you're trying to build expertise that actually lasts, you work on systematic review over time. Let me tell you, I started using a simple calendar system for this. When I finished learning something important, I set reminders to review it at increasing intervals. Takes 30 seconds to set up, has saved me from forgetting countless insights. Most of what you read disappears within 24 hours. That's not motivation talk, that's neuroscience. There's something called the forgetting curve, and it's brutal. Your brain dumps about 70% of new information almost immediately unless you give it a reason not to. I spent years thinking I had to read more books, consume more content, get through more articles. I'd highlight passages, take notes in the margins, feel productive. Then a week later, I couldn't tell you 3 meaningful things from what I had read. The issue isn't that you're not reading enough. You're probably reading too much. What you're missing is the second half of learning that nobody talks about. See? Learning has 2 stages. Stage 1 is consumption. Reading, watching, listening. This is where everyone spends 100% of their energy. Stage 2 is digestion. Processing, connecting, solidifying what you just consumed. This is the part almost everyone skips. Think about eating. You can't just keep shoveling food in without giving your body time to digest it. Eventually you're going to feel sick and nothing gets absorbed. But that's exactly what we do with information. We binge articles, speed through books, consume endlessly, then wonder why nothing sticks. When I finally understood this, my retention probably tripled, not exaggerating. Here's what most people miss. There's a specific note-taking approach that helps you retain almost everything you read. I'm walking you through that exact system in just a second, but we need to clear up why your current method is working against you, not for you. Let me tell you about the shift that changed how I learn. Every time you consume something, you gotta immediately digest it. Not tomorrow, not when you finish the whole book. Right away. The consumption and digestion stages should be balanced. Most people spend all their time on stage 1 and 0 time on stage 2. Then they're confused when they can't remember anything. When you read something procedural, like how to run Facebook ads or how to structure a sales email, you can't learn it by just reading about it. The only way it sticks is through practice, and it should happen immediately. I learned this trying to pick up marketing automation tools. I'd watch a 30-minute tutorial, take notes, tell myself I'd implement it next week. Next week would come and I'd have to rewatch the entire thing because I retained almost nothing. Now I watch 5 minutes, pause, implement what I just learned, then move on. Takes longer upfront, but saves me hours later. Most people will read an entire tutorial, take detailed notes, then plan to practice later. But by the time later comes around, you've already forgotten half of it. You're essentially starting from scratch again. The approach that works: as soon as you consume procedural information, stop everything and practice it. Right then, even if it's just 5 minutes, that immediate application creates the neural pathways that make the skill stick. My friend, when you're reading or learning something new, do you have any system at all? Or are you just winging it? Because I winged it for years before figuring this out. Drop your current process in the comments, or if you found methods that work for you. Your experience might help someone else who's struggling with the same issue. So there's one technique proven in research over and over to be one of the most effective learning tools: active recall. Instead of passively rereading your notes, you actively try to retrieve information from memory. Close the book, grab a blank page, write down everything you remember about the topic. This feels uncomfortable. It's supposed to. That struggle, that effort to pull information from memory is what strengthens the neural pathways and makes the memory stick. Most people avoid this because rereading notes feels easier, but that passive review gives you an illusion of competence. You feel like you know the material, but you're just recognizing information you're seeing. You're not actually retrieving it from memory. Active recall is like lifting weights for your brain. Every time you successfully retrieve information from memory, that pathway gets stronger. I do this at the end of every reading session now. 10 minutes of writing down what I remember without looking at the book. Then I check what I missed and review those parts more carefully. That's it. Simple but powerful. Your brain remembers through connections, not isolation. When you're learning something new and think, hey, this reminds me of something, that's your brain trying to create an anchor point. Lean into that hard. When I was learning about customer acquisition funnels, I kept relating it back to how water flows through an actual funnel. Some gets through, some spills out. You're trying to maximize what makes it to the bottom. That simple analogy helped me understand conversion optimization better than any textbook explanation. But here's the key. You can't just make the connection and move on. You should stress test it. Ask yourself, how is this new concept similar to what I already know? How is it different? Where does this analogy break down? That critiquing process is where the real learning happens. Because when you find where the analogy doesn't work, that's where you discover the nuances that deepen your understanding. For conceptual knowledge, theories, frameworks, principles, the most effective digestion method I've found is mapping, not linear notes. Visual networks showing how ideas connect to each other. Grab a piece of paper, put the main concept in the middle. Start branching out with related ideas, sub-concepts, connections. As you read more, you add to your map, rearrange things, draw lines showing relationships between different parts. This forces your brain to think about not just individual pieces of information, but how everything fits together into a bigger picture. That's how experts think. They can start anywhere in their knowledge network and navigate to any other point because they understand all the connections. My friend, let me share the practical system I've adapted from researching how professional writers retain information. While you're reading, mark passages that stand out. Don't highlight everything. Be selective. You're looking for things that change your understanding, that you might reference later, or that connect to other ideas. When you finish a reading session, immediately review what you marked. This is the digestion phase. For each highlighted section, ask yourself, what type of information is this? Does it require practice? Does it connect to something I already know? Is it a fact I should store? Then, and this is critical, physically write down the most important insights, not typed, written. There's something about the physical act of writing that improves encoding in memory. I use note cards, 1 insight per card. Later, I organize them by theme so I can find them when I need them. I'm essentially building an external brain that captures my insights and makes them searchable. This sounds time-consuming. It is more time per book, but you're not trying to consume more. You're trying to retain more. This system means I read half as many books, but remember 10 times as much from each one. By the way, I just launched YouTube memberships on the channel. If you've been finding value in these videos and want to support what I'm building here, members get priority replies to comments and can suggest topics for future videos. It's a small way to make a big impact. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, check out the join button below. I'd be honored to have you on board. For specific facts, statistics, examples, the concrete details that support your understanding, you don't have to memorize them while reading. That's actually a waste of mental energy. As soon as you identify important details, note them down somewhere. Could be in your map, in a note-taking app, on flashcards, wherever works for your system. Just capture it quickly and keep moving. The review part comes later, maybe at the end of the day or week. This is when you actively think about how you'll use this information. What concept does this support? What problem could this help solve? How would I explain this to someone else? This approach saves you from getting bogged down in details while you're trying to understand the bigger picture. You're keeping digestion balanced with consumption. For reference information, formulas, terminology, metrics, I throw it into a searchable system or flashcards. If it's something I require frequent recall on, I use a spaced repetition app like Anki. But I don't waste consumption time trying to drill these details into my head in the moment. The daily practice I'm about to walk you through takes 6 minutes and builds mastery over time through consistency. Most people skip this because they think remembering everything is the goal. It's not, and understanding why changes the entire approach. There's this huge misconception that the goal should be to read more books, consume more content, get through more material. We celebrate people who read 100 books a year like they've achieved something remarkable. But if you read 100 books and can't remember or apply anything from 95 of them, what did you actually accomplish? You're not in a race to consume the most information. You're trying to build usable knowledge that improves your life or business. When I switched from trying to read as much as possible to actually digesting what I read, something interesting happened. I started reading fewer books, but retained way more. I could have intelligent conversations about what I'd learned. I could apply frameworks in real situations. I started seeing actual results. The most successful people I know aren't information sponges randomly absorbing everything. They're incredibly selective about what they consume, and they extract maximum value from everything they do read. This is why balancing consumption and digestion is critical. It's not about speed, it's about depth and retention. Think about the real cost of your current approach. Every book you forget is time you'll never get back. Every article you skim and forget is wasted opportunity. You're not learning, you're just creating the illusion of progress. You don't have to overhaul your entire life to implement these systems. Start with 6 minutes a day. 2 minutes of active recall, testing yourself on what you remember without looking at notes. 2 minutes of spaced repetition, reviewing material you learned previously at strategic intervals. 2 minutes of focused practice or note-taking on new information. That's it. 6 minutes, but do it every single day. This ties into the Kumon method Japanese students use. Small, consistent, focused sessions that build on each other over time. It doesn't sound like much, but if you improve just 1% every day for a year, you end up 37 times better than when you started. The math actually works out that way. I use a simple system for this. In the morning, I spend 2 minutes writing down what I remember from yesterday's reading, then 2 minutes reviewing notes from last week, then 2 minutes on whatever new thing I'm learning. 6 minutes total, but the compound effect over months is massive. There's a Japanese concept called su, deep focus. Students train themselves to enter complete concentration by using consistent rituals. When you do the same small actions before studying, sitting in the same spot, lighting a candle, using a specific notebook, you create a mental trigger that tells your brain, okay, now we're learning. I started doing this 6 months ago. Every time I sit down to read something I want to retain, I make a specific type of tea, sit at my desk, and put my phone in another room. That simple ritual shifted my retention noticeably because my brain knows that when those conditions are met, it's time to focus deeply. You don't require anything elaborate, just some consistent signal that tells your brain to shift from passive consumption to active learning. My friend, there's a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, continuous incremental improvement. You're not trying to become a memory master overnight, you're just trying to be slightly better than yesterday. This matters because implementing a new system can feel overwhelming. You might mess it up. You might forget to review something. You might not be consistent at first. That's completely normal. The goal isn't perfection, it's gradual improvement of your habits around consuming and digesting information. Even if you only implement 1 or 2 elements from this video, that's progress. When I started, I didn't follow this system perfectly. I'd forget to take notes, I'd skip the review process, I'd get lazy and just highlight without actually digesting. But over time, as I saw how much better my retention was, when I did follow the system, it became more automatic. Now it's just how I read and learn. It's not forced anymore, it's natural. Here's what I recommend if you want to actually implement this instead of just consuming this video and forgetting about it by tomorrow. Pick 1 book or article you want to read this week. Just 1. Before you start reading, commit to immediately digesting what you consume. No skipping the processing time. While you're reading, mark or highlight selectively. Only the things that genuinely stand out. When you finish your reading session, even if it's just 10 minutes, stop and process what you marked. Write down the key insights by hand. Ask yourself how you'll use this information. Set a reminder to review those notes in 3 days, then a week, then 2 weeks. That's it. That's the entire system applied to 1 piece of content. And most importantly, my friend, give yourself permission to slow down. Reading fewer things deeply is infinitely more valuable than skimming 100 things you'll forget. You cannot remember everything. That's not the goal. Even trying to remember everything is the wrong approach. There's a man named Kim Peek who could remember everything he read, word for word. He memorized thousands of books with perfect recall. Hollywood made a movie about him. But despite his supernatural memory, he struggled with reasoning and problem solving. See, for most of what you're trying to learn, perfect recall isn't the point. You're not trying to recite books from memory. You're trying to understand concepts deeply enough that you can apply them. You're trying to build a connected network of knowledge you can actually use. The system I've shared does exactly that. It helps you remember what matters in a way that you can actually use it, not just store it, but apply it. The people who seem to have incredible memory recall aren't superhuman. They're not smarter than you, they just have better systems. They balance consumption with digestion. They use active recall instead of passive review. They create connections instead of isolated facts. They review strategically over time instead of cramming once. They focus deeply instead of multitasking. These aren't secrets. These are just practices most people never learned because our education system never taught us how to actually learn. We were taught what to learn, not how to learn it. But now you know. Now you have these systems. The question is, will you actually use them? Most people will watch this video, think that's interesting, and then go back to their old habits. Reading without digesting, consuming without processing, forgetting almost everything within days. But you're not most people. You made it this far, that means you're serious about this. So start small, pick one technique, practice it for a week, see what happens, then add another. Build the habit gradually. Because 6 months from now, you can either be someone who's consumed a ton of content and forgotten most of it, or someone who's built a deep, connected, usable knowledge base that actually improves your life. The system works. I've proven it. Japanese students have proven it for decades. Now it's your turn. My friend, the difference between someone who reads a lot and someone who knows a lot is simple. It's not about how much you consume, it's about how well you digest. You already have the intelligence. You already have the curiosity. What you needed was the system. Now you have that too. Stop reading more. Start remembering more. You now know how to make information last, but retention alone isn't mastery. You can review something 100 times and still not truly understand it, because there's a difference between recognizing an idea and actually owning it. The most dangerous trap in learning is mistaking familiarity for understanding, and there's one technique that exposes that gap immediately. It comes from one of the greatest minds in history. Here's what nobody tells you about being smart. Richard Feynman won a Nobel Prize figuring out quantum physics, the kind of mind-bending stuff that should be impossible to explain, but he explained it like he was talking to his neighbor. Simple drawings, normal words, zero ego. Most experts hide behind jargon because it makes them feel important. Feynman did the opposite. He had one brutal rule for himself. If he couldn't make someone with zero background understand it, he didn't actually know it yet. That's terrifying honesty most people avoid. And here's the part that changed how I learn everything. This wasn't just his teaching trick. This was how he learned. He'd work through ideas until he could explain them naturally. Not by memorizing definitions, but by actually getting it. No scripts, no fancy terms he barely understood himself. My friend, real mastery isn't about sounding smart in meetings. It's about making the complex feel obvious. When you can break something down so clearly that anyone gets it, that's when you know you've actually learned it. Everything else is just performance. If you're still using complicated language to explain simple things, you're fooling yourself more than anyone else. Before I break down how the Feynman technique actually works, you need to understand why your current learning methods are keeping you stuck in a cycle of fake progress. Let me tell you something nobody wants to admit. The study techniques we all learned are designed for one thing: cramming information long enough to pass a test, then forgetting it. Highlighting, rereading, flashcards. 2 weeks later, it's gone. The problem? You're confusing recognition with understanding. You see something enough times, scroll past it, nod along, and your brain says, "Yeah, I got this," but you don't. Recognition is fake mastery. Real understanding comes when you can use it in situations you've never seen before, when you can teach it without stumbling over your words, when you spot how it connects to everything else you know, when it actually works when you need it. The Feynman technique destroys this illusion because you can't fake explaining something out loud. There's no jargon to hide behind, no definitions you memorized 5 minutes ago. You either actually understand it, or the gaps show up immediately and brutally. That uncomfortable feeling when you can't explain something you thought you knew, that's not failure. That's your brain finally being honest with you. Here's what shifted everything for me. This works for literally any subject. Business frameworks, programming concepts, psychology principles, financial literacy. The process never changes. I've used it to understand startup economics, negotiation strategies, even philosophical ideas that seemed abstract. It works because it forces you to confront what you actually don't know. Most people never do this. They live comfortably in the illusion of understanding, never testing if their knowledge actually holds up under pressure. There's something raw about trying to explain something you thought you had figured out and realizing mid-sentence that you're completely lost. That confidence just evaporates. I'm really curious. Have you ever tried to explain something you thought you understood, only to realize mid-sentence you had no idea what you were talking about? That moment when the confidence just evaporates? Drop a comment below with what topic exposed your gaps. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear before they waste more time pretending to learn. Let me break down the 4 simple steps that expose every gap in your understanding. No elaborate systems, no fancy apps, just 4 steps that will reveal every gap in your understanding immediately. Let me show you how this works using an example most people think they understand: compound interest. Step 1. Pick your topic and write it down. Grab actual paper, not your phone, not some app, physical paper. Write your topic at the top. Let's say compound interest. I know what you're thinking. This is too basic to matter. That's exactly why you'll skip it and stay confused. Something happens when you physically write something down. Your brain stops half listening and actually commits. Most people want to jump straight into learning because writing feels like a waste of time, but that's the first mistake. Writing it down is your contract with yourself. It forces your brain to stop multitasking and lock in. I thought I understood compound interest. Money grows over time, exponential whatever, seemed simple. Then someone asked me how $1,000 becomes $76,000 at 7% over 40 years. I mumbled something about exponential growth and realized I couldn't explain the actual mechanics. That experience showed me something important. What we're most sure of often hides what we still don't see. True understanding means turning complex ideas into something simple and clear. The real proof is explaining it to someone new and making it make sense. Step 2. Teach it like you're explaining to a friend. This is where most people fail. They try to sound intelligent instead of being clear. Your job isn't to impress anyone. Your job is to explain this like you're answering a random text from your friend at midnight. Speak simply and honestly. Don't try to sound impressive. If your friend knows nothing about what you're explaining, walk them through it from the very beginning and fill in every gap along the way. I figured this out trying to explain gravity to my younger cousin. I couldn't say, gravity is space-time curvature caused by mass energy. That means nothing to a kid, so I tried something different. Imagine rolling marbles on a stretched bedsheet. Put a bowling ball in the middle. It creates a dip, right? Now when you roll marbles near it, they curve toward the bowling ball. That's basically how gravity works. He got it immediately. And honestly, that's when I actually understood it too. If you can't explain something to someone with zero background knowledge, you don't understand it yet. The test isn't whether you can use impressive terms. The test is whether the other person says, "Oh, that makes sense," instead of just nodding politely while totally lost. Real comprehension means stripping away the complexity until you hit the simple truth underneath. When you genuinely understand something, you can build it back up from basic principles instead of just repeating sophisticated explanations you've memorized. Most people mistake familiarity with jargon for actual understanding, but true mastery shows when you can teach it to someone with zero background. The moment you need fancy language to explain something, you're probably hiding gaps in your own knowledge. Before I show you how to find those knowledge gaps, I want to mention something. I just launched memberships here, and honestly, it's for anyone who's serious about actually learning, not just consuming. As a member, you get priority access when you comment with questions. Plus, you can request breakdowns of specific topics you're stuck on. If you want that level of support while you're applying this technique, check out the join button. Would love to see you there. Step 3. Find your knowledge gaps. Here's the uncomfortable part. As you explain, you're going to hit walls, places where you realize you have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe you can't explain why compound interest makes such a huge difference over long periods, or you're fuzzy on how it actually calculates day by day. Your brain will panic. It'll want to move on quickly or make excuses. Don't let it. These gaps aren't failures. They're your map showing you exactly what to learn next. Every, "Wait, I don't actually know this" moment is valuable. That's your roadmap. Go back to your sources, articles, videos, courses, whatever, and fill in those specific gaps. Work through examples, find different explanations, keep digging until you actually understand that piece. Then come back and try explaining again. You'll usually find that fixing one gap reveals another you didn't notice before. That's normal. That's the technique working. Those uncomfortable moments where you discover the gaps, that's not failure. That's exactly when real learning starts happening. Step 4. Simplify using analogies. My friend, here's where most people fail. They keep the complicated words because it makes them feel smart. Stop it. You're not writing to impress. You're writing to teach. Go through your writing and erase anything that sounds like you're trying too hard. If you use words that your mom would question, simplify them. Real clarity beats smart-sounding nonsense every time. I used to say, gravity curves space-time, and wonder why people glazed over. Now I say, gravity is like standing on a tilted floor. You naturally slide toward the heavy stuff. Same concept. actually understood. Here's the real measure. If someone can't explain it back to you in a few minutes, you haven't made it clear enough. Understanding only counts when it can be passed on easily. The real skill isn't making simple things sound complex. Any idiot can do that. The real skill is taking something complex and making it so clear that people wonder why they ever thought it was hard. Clarity isn't dumbing down. Clarity is respect. Every fancy word you cut makes your explanation stronger, not weaker. When you choose understanding over sounding impressive, you create knowledge that actually sticks in people's heads instead of sliding right out. Now here's the part that actually transforms how you think. It's built around one simple question that children ask naturally, but adults have learned to avoid. This question is what takes you from understanding what happens to understanding why it happens. Here's what separates surface knowledge from deep understanding. Most people stop too early. They think explaining simply just means using smaller words. But real understanding means you can handle the question that separates curious kids from self-conscious adults. Why? Adults stop asking why because it feels embarrassing. Kids don't care. They'll keep asking until they hit the fundamental truth. Think about compound interest. When you tell someone money grows faster over time and they ask why, you explain that banks pay you for letting them use your money, and when that interest stays in your account, it earns more too. It's simple logic, not magic. Consider marketing funnels. You describe them as a way to turn strangers into customers, and someone wonders why not sell right away. That's when you explain it's about trust. People buy only when they believe, and belief builds at its own pace. Those why questions push you past surface mechanics into actual principles. They force you to explain human behavior, business logic, the real forces at work. Most people think they understand something when they can describe what happens, but you don't really get it until you can explain why it happens. That's the difference between shallow knowledge and deep understanding. It's like knowing a recipe versus understanding how cooking actually works. When someone asks, "Why does that happen?" and you can't answer without technical jargon, that's your brain telling you something's still missing. Here's the thing, my friend. This technique isn't just for academic concepts. I've applied it to everything. Business models I needed to understand, technical systems I was building, even interpersonal skills like negotiation. The principle stays the same. If you can't explain it simply, you don't really know it. When learning to code, focus less on memorizing and more on understanding how things work. Loops exist to save effort, not repeat yourself. Functions keep code clean and fixable. Once you can explain those reasons, you've started thinking like a real developer. For business, repeating buzzwords is easy. What matters is knowing why some models succeed while others collapse, and why certain advantages endure while others fade fast. When you can explain those patterns with relatable examples, that's real understanding. For money, most people know they should save and invest. Few can explain why. Try explaining to your friend why buying index funds usually beats picking stocks. If you can make them understand the logic without using terms like diversification or market efficiency, you've learned something useful. The pattern is always the same. Move from knowing what to understanding why. That's where actual knowledge lives. Surface facts are just starting points. They show you the rules, but not the game. Once you understand the deeper logic, you can predict outcomes in situations you've never seen before. Many people get stuck memorizing because it feels productive, but true mastery begins when you can explain an idea naturally, without notes or scripts. Once you understand the core principles, you stop relying on examples. You start creating your own answers. Here's what surprised me. This doesn't just help you understand individual concepts better, it accelerates how you learn everything. When you constantly practice breaking things down, you start recognizing patterns everywhere. You realize gravity isn't just about objects falling, it's why rivers flow, why planets orbit, why your legs feel heavy after a long day. The same principle shapes everything from ocean currents to galaxy formation. This separates people who excel from people who just collect random information. When you grasp underlying patterns, you can spot them in new contexts and apply what you already know. Instead of restarting from zero every time, you're building on a foundation of connected principles. Most people learn in isolated compartments. They study marketing separately from finance, psychology separately from business, never connecting them. But human behavior drives all of it. When you see the common threads, everything clicks faster. Understanding why people make decisions gives you a massive advantage over just memorizing separate techniques for each domain. Before you start, let me save you from the mistakes that kill most people's progress. Mistake number 1, avoiding discomfort. When you hit a knowledge gap, your brain wants to patch it quickly and move on. Don't. Those gaps are gold. Sit with not knowing. That's where learning happens. Mistake number 2, leaning on jargon. Technical terms make you feel smart, but they're a crutch. If you can't explain compound interest without saying exponential growth or compounding periods, you don't actually get it yet. Cut the big words. Mistake number 3, staying theoretical. Concepts without concrete examples are useless. If you can't give a real-world example of how something works, you're still surface level. Always use specific situations. Mistake number 4, keeping it internal. The technique works on paper, but it's explosive when you explain to real people. Their confused expressions and unexpected questions will expose gaps you never knew existed. Your friend asking, "Why would anyone do that?" might be the question that finally makes it click. The discomfort when someone doesn't understand your explanation isn't failure, it's feedback. That awkward moment when they look confused is giving you valuable information about where your thinking breaks down. When someone doesn't get what you're explaining, it's usually showing where your own understanding is thin. Great teachers earn that skill by failing to explain things many times until they learn exactly where others struggle and how to make it click. Here's how to implement this instead of just nodding along and forgetting about it. Pick one thing you're currently struggling with. Just one, not 5. Trying to solve everything at once spreads your focus so thin that nothing truly changes. One clear effort beats scattered attempts every time. Block out actual time, at least 30 minutes. Deep understanding doesn't happen in quick bursts. If you're squeezing it in between distractions, you're only pretending to learn. Find someone to listen to your explanation. Your roommate, a friend, whoever. Bonus if they know nothing about the topic. They'll ask questions that expose your blind spots. Make this your automatic response to learning anything new. Don't just consume information about marketing or finance or whatever. Immediately try explaining it to someone else. Document what you learned. Not because writing is magical, but because you'll be amazed at how much clearer your thinking becomes when you track your progress. Do this consistently, and you don't just get better at learning, you get better at thinking, period. The clarity you develop here doesn't stay contained. It transforms how you think about everything. When you practice breaking complex ideas into simple explanations, that clarity spreads to everything. Your decision-making sharpens because you can cut through noise and see what actually matters. Your communication improves because you can share ideas without burying people in terminology. In conversations, people actually understand your point instead of just waiting to talk. When teaching, people leave transformed instead of just having memorized something. In disagreements, you can address the actual issue instead of talking past each other. When you can explain things simply, you stop lying to yourself about what you know. You stop hiding behind complexity and start building real understanding. That's when ideas stick and spread, instead of just sounding clever temporarily. Let's be honest, most people aren't actually learning, they're just hoarding information. This technique works because it forces you to stop pretending. When you can't explain something without fancy words, you've discovered you don't actually understand it yet. That uncomfortable realization is where learning begins. But knowing about this technique changes nothing. You have to actually use it. Pick something you're struggling with right now. Get paper. Start explaining it like you're teaching someone curious. Feel the discomfort when you discover your gaps. Fill those gaps. Repeat. The goal isn't becoming the smartest person around. The goal is stopping the self-deception about what you actually understand versus what you've just memorized. In a world where most people mistake information for understanding, real knowledge is your competitive edge. The Feynman Technique gives you a way to test your understanding, but once you can genuinely explain something, what comes next? Because understanding isn't the ceiling, it's the floor. The best students don't stop at getting it. They use it, question it, build on it, and ultimately create with it. There are 6 distinct levels of thinking, and most people never make it past the first 2. Let me tell you more about them. Level 1. Remember, the trap most people live in. If you've ever spent a Tuesday night with your laptop open, 3 tabs of the same topic loaded, highlighting the same article for the 3rd time, you know this level well. You take notes, you organize them, you color code them, you reread sections multiple times, and it feels like progress because you're busy, your notes look clean, your folders are organized. But 2 weeks later, when you actually have to use that information, gone. You remember fragments, but not enough to do anything with it, so you go back and reread everything again. Let me tell you, this is where most people live, and what you unlock here is regurgitate. You can list facts, you can repeat definitions, but ask you to explain why something matters or how to use it. You freeze. I did this for months when I was learning about productivity systems. I read Getting Things Done, watched David Allen videos, took pages of notes on contexts and next actions. I could tell you the entire methodology. But my actual work Still a mess, because I memorized the system without understanding how to make it work for me. My friend, this level feels productive because you're doing something, but your brain is just storing data, not building understanding. It's like saving files to your desktop without ever organizing them into folders that make sense. You know the information exists somewhere, but good luck finding it when you actually need it. Here's what's worse. The more you stay at this level, the more exhausting learning becomes. Your brain wasn't designed to just store random facts. It craves meaning, connections, reasons. When you deny it that, studying feels like torture. That drowsiness you feel after an hour of rereading, that's not laziness. That's your brain literally checking out because you're not giving it work worth doing. Level 2, understand where meaning starts. This is where you stop memorizing and start asking, what does this actually mean? Understanding changes everything. Two people can read the same article. From the outside, they look identical, but mentally, they're in different worlds. The level 1 thinker reads to memorize. They're trying to burn information into their brain. The level 2 thinker reads to comprehend. They pause and ask themselves, what is this actually saying? How does this connect to what I just learned? Let me give you an example. Say you're learning about the 80-20 principle. Someone at level 1 memorizes it. 20% of your efforts produce 80% of your results. Someone at level 2 reads that and thinks, okay, so most of what I do doesn't actually move the needle. That means I should figure out which tasks create real results and do more of those. That's why people talk about cutting out busy work. That's why my morning routine matters more than I thought. See the difference? One stores words, the other builds understanding. One is collecting coins in a jar, the other is actually understanding what money can do. When you unlock this thinking, you unlock explain. Now you can answer questions like explain how this works, or describe why this strategy matters. These make up most basic assessments and conversations. You can have actual discussions about ideas instead of just reciting definitions. I remember when this shift happened for me with marketing. I'd read about customer pain points a dozen times. I could define it perfectly. But one day I was scrolling through Reddit and saw someone complaining about meal planning, and it clicked. That's a pain point. Not the definition in my notes, but the actual frustration real people feel. Suddenly I wasn't just storing information, I was understanding it in context. For a lot of people, reaching this level feels like success. They think, I get it now, I'm good. But understanding is just the beginning, because knowing how something works and knowing how to use it effectively are two completely different things. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you the counterintuitive strategy that flips the entire learning process upside down. But first you have to see why most people never make it past level 3. Level 3, apply. Theory meets reality. So you've memorized the concept. You've understood how it works. Now comes the real test. At this level, you're solving problems. Not abstract ideas anymore, real scenarios. If you learned about content marketing frameworks, it's creating an actual content plan. If you learned about time management, it's actually restructuring your calendar. If you learned Python basics, it's writing actual code that runs. This level unlocks simple problem solving. These are one-to-one problems. One concept you learned, one problem you solve. The path is clear, the tool is obvious. For example, you learned about time blocking. Application is taking your calendar and actually blocking out focused work time instead of just knowing you should do it. You learned about the Pomodoro technique. Application is setting that 25-minute timer and working until it goes off. And for many people, this feels like real progress. You can do something now, not just talk about it. You're not just consuming information, you're using it. I felt this when I first started applying what I learned about email productivity. I'd read about Inbox Zero for months, understood the concept perfectly, but the day I actually archived everything, set up filters, and processed my inbox to zero, that felt different. That was application. My friend, here's the catch. This level has built-in limits. These problems are predictable. You learned a technique, and the situation basically tells you to use that technique. You're following instructions, not thinking strategically. It's like learning to cook by following recipes exactly. You can make the dish, but you don't understand why you're using these ingredients, or what would happen if you changed something. You're executing, not creating. That's fine until you hit a situation where the answer isn't obvious, where you have to combine multiple concepts. Think strategically about which approach to use first, or adapt what you know to a new context. Most real-world problems aren't this straightforward. They're messier, more complex, more ambiguous. If you want to reach the level where you're not just following instructions, but making decisions, you have to push into what comes next. Real talk, when you're learning something new for work or a project, do you find yourself able to apply what you learn right away? Or does it take weeks before things actually click? Drop your experience in the comments, because I think we all struggle with this differently, and your story might help someone else here. Level 4, analyze. where it gets hard. My friend, this is where the game changes, and this is where most people hit a wall. At this level, you're not looking at information in isolation anymore. You're comparing, contrasting, finding patterns. You're asking, how is this similar to that? What's the difference between these approaches? What happens if I change this variable? How do these concepts relate to each other? This level unlocks comparison. Now you can answer questions like, compare these two strategies and their effectiveness. What are the pros and cons of this approach versus that one? When would you use method A instead of method B? These questions don't just ask you to know things, they ask you to see connections between things, to understand relationships, to recognize when two seemingly different concepts are actually variations of the same principle. This is where it gets real. The thinking feels harder, it takes more mental effort. You can't pull a single fact from memory and call it done. You're thinking for longer, more deeply. You're holding multiple ideas in your head at once and comparing them. You might spend 15 minutes staring at your notes trying to figure out how two concepts relate. You might draw diagrams or make tables just to visualize the connections. And because of that, a lot of people think they're doing something wrong. They slow down, they get frustrated. They look at the clock and think this is taking too long. I used to get through way more material in an hour. So they go back to what feels easier, level 2 or 3 thinking, back to just understanding or just practicing problems. But that extra effort isn't failure, that's growth. Your brain is forming deeper connections, your memory is getting stronger. The neurons in your brain are literally building new pathways. Scientists call this the misinterpreted effort hypothesis. When learning feels hard, we assume we're bad at it. We think if I was smart enough, this would be easy. But actually that difficulty is a sign you're learning at a higher level. Let me tell you something I wish I'd known earlier. Easy learning creates weak memory. Difficult learning creates strong memory. Think about it. When you effortlessly reread an article for the 5th time, your brain is barely engaged. It's coasting. Nothing is being built. It's like driving the same route every day. You stop noticing the details because your brain is on autopilot. But when you're struggling to compare two complex strategies and figure out which is better, your brain is firing on all cylinders. It's making connections. It's building structure. It's creating a web of understanding instead of isolated facts. I remember learning about different content distribution strategies, SEO, paid ads, social media, email. At level 3, I could apply each one independently, but at level 4, I had to analyze them against each other. Which builds faster? Which compounds over time? Which works best with limited budget? That analysis was mentally exhausting, but it's what actually made me good at distribution strategy. If you want to reach this level's results, you have to embrace that effort. Tools like comparison tables, Venn diagrams, or mind maps that force you to show how ideas connect and contrast aren't just productivity hacks. They're tools that force your brain to think at this level. And when you do that consistently, you start standing out. Because most people never push past this wall. They give up when it gets hard. They retreat to the comfortable levels. But the ones who push through, they become the people others turn to when they need real answers. They become the ones who can see patterns others miss. My friend, the discomfort you feel at this level is the exact discomfort that builds real capability. By the way, I just launched memberships on the channel. If you've been getting value from these breakdowns and want to support what we're building here, members get priority replies to comments, can suggest topics for upcoming videos, and get behind the scenes content on how I research these. It's a small way to make a big impact. If you're interested, just hit the join button below. Level 5, evaluate the elite level. Now we're entering territory where most people never go, and this is where good becomes exceptional. At level 4, you analyzed. You compared and contrasted. You found similarities and differences. At level 5, you ask the next question, so what? Why does this matter? Which option is better and why? If I had to choose, what would I prioritize? This level is about judgment. You're not just finding differences anymore. You're forming conclusions. You're making decisions. You're defending positions. You're recommending courses of action. And when you unlock this thinking, you unlock prioritization. These are the questions that require you to critique an approach, justify a decision, defend a position, recommend what someone should actually do. Let me give you a business example. A level 4 question might ask, compare organic growth versus paid advertising for customer acquisition. You'd explain that organic takes longer, but builds compound value over time, while paid is faster, but requires ongoing investment and stops working when you stop paying. But a level 5 question asks your startup has $10,000, and you have to acquire 100 customers in 60 days. Evaluate whether you should focus on content or paid ads and justify your answer. Now, you're not just comparing concepts. You're using that comparison to make a judgment. You're weighing factors like time constraints, budget limitations, expected conversion rates, long-term value. You're considering trade-offs. You're coming to a conclusion and defending it with reasoning. Let me tell you, these are the questions that separate the good from the great, because this level requires you to go back and forth. You can't rely on one piece of information. You're jumping between different frameworks and data points. You're thinking through scenarios. You're anticipating objections. It's messy, it's mentally exhausting, and it takes time, but this is where mastery lives. When I was deciding which content format to focus on for my channel, I went through this process. I compared written content versus video versus audio. I analyzed audience preferences, platform algorithms, production effort, scalability. But then I had to evaluate, given my specific skills, available time, and audience, which would work best. That's level 5. That's the thinking that actually drives decisions. Because when you can evaluate, when you can prioritize and justify, you're not just consuming information. You're not just understanding it. You're not even just applying it. You're thinking like an expert in the field. You're thinking like someone who makes decisions that matter. Most professionals at senior positions operate at this level every day. Business owners don't just know strategies, they evaluate which strategy is best for their specific situation right now. Developers don't just know how to code, they evaluate which solution is most maintainable long-term. Designers don't just know design principles, they evaluate which approach serves the user best. So if you want to reach top-tier results, you should train yourself to think at this level. Not just occasionally when forced to, but consistently every time you learn something new. Level 6. Create. The innovation level. Though most people won't spend much time here. At this level, you're not just using knowledge, you're generating new knowledge. You're forming hypotheses, you're synthesizing ideas that don't exist yet. You're identifying gaps in current understanding and creating potential answers. You're proposing solutions to problems that don't have established solutions yet. A level 6 question might ask, based on current market trends, propose a novel business model that could disrupt the e-commerce space. Justify your proposal and anticipate challenges. This isn't analyzing existing information or evaluating established options. This is creating something new, something that doesn't exist in your textbooks or your research, something original. These are the questions you'll encounter if you're innovating, doing research, or pushing boundaries in your field. This is PhD level thinking. This is the level where new theories get proposed, new frameworks get developed, new solutions get invented. Most people will never work consistently at this level, and that's completely fine. Because if you can master level 5, if you can evaluate and prioritize effectively, you're already outperforming 90% of people in any field. Level 6 is for those who want to push the boundaries of what's currently known. But for most practical applications, in business, in learning, in career development, level 5 is the summit worth reaching. And here's what's fascinating about this entire framework. I'm about to reveal the one strategy that completely flips how you should approach learning, and it's the opposite of what most people do. Stay with me because this changes everything. Most people think the way to reach level 5 is to start at level 1 and work up. First memorize everything, then understand it, then practice applying it, then start comparing things, and finally start evaluating. But it doesn't work because of something called the forgetting curve. Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered that humans forget approximately 50% of new information within an hour and about 70% within 24 hours. So here's what happens. Week 1, you memorize facts. Week 2, you try to understand, but you've already forgotten half of what you memorized. Week 3, you try to apply, but you've forgotten most of levels 1 and 2. By week 4, you're spending more time relearning than actually learning. You're stuck in a loop, always starting over. This is why cramming doesn't work. So here's the better way. Don't start at level 1, start at level 5. Let me tell you how you can start at level 5 when you don't even know the material yet. Your brain forms stronger memory when you think at higher levels. When you force yourself to evaluate from the start, your brain automatically fills in the lower levels as a side effect. If you're trying to evaluate which concept is more important, you have to understand what each concept means. If you're trying to compare two approaches, you have to remember the details, but it doesn't work the other way around. So when you start at level 5, you're forcing your brain to engage at the highest level, and everything below comes along for the ride. Here's how I actually use this. When I was learning about digital marketing, I started by asking if I had to choose just one marketing channel to focus on for the next 3 months. Which would it be, and why? To answer that, I had to research the different channels. Level 1, handled. I had to understand how each worked. Level 2, covered. I had to see examples and applications. Level 3, handled. I had to compare them against criteria like time investment and cost. Level 4, done. And because I was constantly asking which matters most, I remembered the details better. See how that works? By starting at level 5, I pulled myself through all the lower levels with purpose and direction. So how do you put this into practice? Here are some action steps. First, ask "so what?" constantly. Every time you learn something new, immediately ask, why does this matter? How does this connect? Which idea is more important? Second, create evaluation questions for yourself. Ask, if I had to choose between option A and option B for my situation, which would I choose and why? Third, embrace the discomfort. If thinking at level 5 feels hard, that's the point. That mental strain means your brain is building stronger pathways. Most people run from difficulty. The people who reach the top recognize that feeling and think, this is hard, which means it's working. My friend, the difference between people who learn slowly and people who learn fast isn't talent. It's not IQ. It's how they think. As you already know, most people are stuck at levels 1, 2, or 3. They're memorizing, understanding, applying, but the people who learn fast, they're thinking at level 5 from day 1. They're evaluating, prioritizing, connecting ideas in ways others don't. And you don't have to climb the ladder one step at a time. You can start at the top and let everything else fall into place. Because when you think at level 5, your brain automatically handles levels 1 through 4. So here's your challenge. The next time you sit down to learn something, don't ask, what do I have to remember? Ask, what's the most important concept here and why? How would I prioritize these ideas? What decision would I make based on this? Force yourself into level 5 thinking from the start and watch how everything else becomes easier. Not because the material got simpler, but because your brain is finally working at the level it was designed for. The people who think deeper are the ones who rise higher, not because they work harder, but because they think smarter. My friend, success in learning and in life isn't about consuming more, it's about thinking deeper. When you apply the right lessons early, protect your focus, review with intention, explain what you know, and push your thinking to its highest level, everything compounds. You stop being a student of information and become a builder of insight, quietly sharper, dangerously clear, and impossible to outlearn. The rest isn't motivation, it's a choice you make daily. If you found this video helpful, this next video right here will take you even further. Your choice, your life, start now.